What's up, everybody? We got some parts to go pick up. I got my receipt. I ordered them online, so let's head out to Summit Racing in Sparks, Nevada and go pick this stuff up. It's about 4:30, sun's going down. It is cold, like 40 degrees out here. Pretty cold. I've never been to Summit Racing before, so this is kind of cool. I've always wanted to go out there just to see the retail location and see what it's like. I heard it's pretty cool. If you're new here, I just like to know where you're watching from. So just let me know your city, your state, your country, whatever, and I'll put a red pin on the map. So this week, we got 5 locations to add. So let's get to it. First one is coming from Lake Stevens, Washington. Next is Indio, California. And Sodus, Michigan, which I found Sodus Township, which I assume that's the one. And Eugene, Oregon. West Coast is definitely winning today. And last, we got one of our most southern locations we've had yet, Jakarta, Indonesia. So that does it for this week, so let me know where you're watching from. And I also still have some stickers. So if you'd like a free sticker, all you gotta do is send me your address at pootsgarage@gmail.com. Don't worry, it's nothing weird. And we're back home. Summit Racing was pretty cool. The main showroom was probably a little smaller than I expected, but it was still a really big store. I mean, it was pretty cool. They got pretty well set up in there. They got, you know, their cashiers separated from the pickup, separated from their, I don't know, people that are looking up parts for you and stuff like that. So that's a cool little setup in there. Keeps people moving. And yeah, lots of neat stuff to look at in there. But yeah, we're back. We got everything we needed. So let me show you what we got. This is everything we picked up over at Summit Racing. Not cheap, that's for sure. So I got a bunch of fittings that we need for our oil lines that we're gonna make. We got a starter blanket, a little heat shield, and we got a new starter. So let me open some stuff up and show you what we got going on. First off was the all the fittings that I got. So a little backstory is the oil cooler lines that we are trying to remove and replace, nobody makes replacements for them. They're just kind of an odd thing, and I think there might be a replacement out there that's hard to find by like Dorman, but yeah, everybody says just avoid them, they're junk. And not to mention doing it this way allows me to reroute the lines where I need them so they're not in the way of that steering box brace we're trying to install. You can check all that out last week. I had a big update on all that. So what we got is a couple of 90-degree 8 AN fittings for the hose end on one and just the AN fitting on the other. And then we got 2 straight ones. So those are both ends of both hoses. And then we got all these adapters. These are all the same piece, but I got the wrong ones. I screwed up. So if you notice, it says 8 AN, which is correct. That's the 1/2 inch size fitting. And then the other says to a 1/2 inch inverted flare. Now I misinterpreted that. This is a 1/2 inch by 20 inverted flare. So 1/2 inch by 20 is actually the thread. It's a 1/2 inch thread with a, you know, 20 threads per inch, I guess it would be. I thought it was a 1/2 inch tube fitting. So that end is way too small. That's the small end here. That's supposed to take the place of the end of the hose, and I'll show you that in a little bit, but that is way too small for what we need. But I did a bunch of research after the fact. Nobody makes the exact fitting we need, so we're gonna have to actually make it. So it's gonna get a little interesting here. Luckily I decided to keep these and not return them. And these are actually made of steel, these aren't aluminum, so I can weld these. So that's gonna be real easy for me to modify and make what I need. I just gotta make 4 of them, which sucks, but I'll go over that in a little bit. Next we got our hose. I got this nice stainless steel with rubber. It's designed to be used in oil applications and different nasty things, so it won't degrade or anything like that. Plus it's the steel braiding for underneath the vehicle, so I don't have to worry about it rubbing through on, you know, motor mounts and stuff, because our routing is a little tight and awkward under there. Next, I picked up this starter heat shield. This is a pretty nice little piece. It wasn't too expensive. I should have done this a long time ago. I always had plans to, I just never did. Never could bite the bullet to buy it. But it, you know, it was like 25 bucks or something. I should have just done it a long time ago. So you can see it's got a nice reflective heat shield on one side, and this side has got the, I guess that's like a fiberglass type insulation or whatever. And then it's got Velcro. So you would wrap it around whatever you're insulating and Velcro it together. So it's pretty slick. I got that for the new starter. And for a starter, we went a little overboard. So I did want to get a nice mini starter to give a little more clearance between headers and the starter, just to have a little more air gap to keep things cooler. So that mixed with the insulation should work great. Now we went with a Power Master. It was kind of the best one I could find for my application. My truck has the offset, or I don't know what they call it, diagonal mount. I can't use the straight mount, I have to be this, and so you kind of have to find a certain one that has this mount. This one does both mounts, which is kind of nice. And I'm kind of curious how well this will work, because I didn't realize it's not a gear reduction, but it is a mini starter, so that was kind of interesting. Being that my motor is not high compression at all, it's just stock 454 from the 80s, it should work fine for it. And these are nice because they're fully rebuildable. You can replace just the solenoid on it. You can probably replace just the motor if you needed. You can replace the gear if you strip that out. It's got a nice big heavy aluminum mounting pad there, mounting block. And then these are also clockable, so I can take out the 2 bolts and I can actually clock the motor where I need it for mounting if I need clearance on other items. So that thing's pretty slick. It also comes with shims and new bolts and more shims and, you know, all your instructions and everything. So I'm excited to start getting all this stuff going. Let's start making something happen with all this. I also ended up ordering a couple things off Amazon. I know I try not to, but I had forgotten to see if I could get some new gaskets for the oil filter adapter that these lines are into. So I'm gonna probably pop that thing off and just reseal it, because those are pretty known to leak. And of course we got our crow's feet that we were missing from last time. So these are all a standard size, not the metric like I currently have. So hopefully I can get the other line that's still stuck up in the vehicle there off using these. All right, now that we went over some nice shiny new parts, I gotta tell you how we're gonna do this, because these line replacements might get a little crazy. So let me show you what I'm planning on doing with this. So this is kind of a cool learning experience, because I really want to figure out all these different types of fittings and everything, you know, especially AN fittings. I want to start getting more into using those versus all these kind of weird goofy things like pipe threads and different things. So this is what we got. So this is our oil cooler line that we had pulled off previously, right? This thing's kind of a mess. So this is the brass fitting that actually goes on the housing up there. We're going to reuse these. I think I can find actually the correct fitting that would go, because this end is a pipe thread that goes into the adapter. I think I can actually find the pipe thread 2-8 AN fitting, but it's too late for that. We've already got stuff we can make our own, I think. So the problem is this fitting here. This is a 3/4 inch thread, and it's an inverted flare. This fitting was supposed to take its place, right? This was supposed to go in place of that, and then I can put my new fittings on the AN end of it. Problem was, this was way too small. You can see I ordered a 1/2 inch, and it's way smaller than the stock threads there, because this is a 1/2 inch line, but it uses 3/4 threads. So that was all screwed up. And they don't make a 3/4 thread inverted flare fitting to a -8, so I can't even get that. So we have to basically make our own. So this is what we're going to attempt to do. I'm going to actually cut these lines off about as short as I can go, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut off this wrong side here, and we're going to weld that pipe directly to the fitting. And I'm going to try and do it as short as possible and keep everything functional, but I need enough room to be able to get in there and weld too. So it'll probably be, I don't know, something like that long maybe. So it's going to be an adapter basically. So I'll have this end on, the factory end will still attach to the motor, and then we'll adapt it to this 8AN, and then we can start running nice fittings off of that. Hopefully it won't look too goofy, but it should be functional. And the end up by the cooler is pretty similar. This end I don't have the brass fitting like I do on the motor. This one threads directly into the cooler itself, so I can't even do that option. So this end I definitely have to make my own. So we're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna cut those off and just make a short little adapter like we are by the motor there. Hopefully this all works out. Hopefully I can weld this stuff, and hopefully it looks good. Alright, so as you can see, I kind of made a little workspace here. I got this plastic stuff here that I kind of made a little shield. Just I'm trying to keep the sparks from flying and catching my whole, garage on fire, because it's kind of messy in here. So try to keep things under control. I also want to let you guys know that I do still have stickers. I got lots of these left, so if you would like a free one, I'll send it out to you. All you gotta do is like this video, leave me a comment, be a subscriber, and then just send me your address at pootsgarage@gmail.com. It's pretty easy, and I'll send them out to you. I've gotten a couple nice pictures of people that have my stickers and are out displaying them in the wild, so check this out. So the first thing we gotta do is I gotta cut off one of the ends here, and then I also have my fitting over here that we're gonna cut off that bad end on. So let's do that real quick. Alright, we got that cut off. Still got my -8AN underneath there. So now, there's gonna be a couple steps to this. If I can get this thing to focus in. So for one, the hole in the middle is really small, so I'm gonna actually drill out these fittings. And then two, I actually want to step the hole up a little bigger, and I want my tube to actually fit in just a little bit, like maybe 1/8 of an inch, just to kind of seat it in there a little bit, and then it'll give me a little extra to weld around, instead of like burning the end of the tube, which would probably be pretty difficult to weld. It's gonna be pretty thin material. So my hole currently measures about 0.3. It's a little small for a -8AN fitting. These measure out to about, this one's 0.35 to, I think my new ones are 0.4. So I'm gonna aim to drill this up to about 0.4 just to give us some good flow. So I drilled those out to, about a 375. That's the size reamer I had. So that'll work out good. I measured the ones I actually had just bought, and they're actually closer to 350, or that's a good size hole. And I need my tube end here, so let's get that. Got that little tube end cleaned up. This is the piece we're gonna use, and we cut off the nut that goes onto that. So that'll go like that, and then this piece here we're gonna weld to that, and that'll be our adapter. Now the next step I'm gonna try to do is, like I said, I wanna measure this tube out, the outside diameter, and see exactly what it is, and see if I can't cut a hole, see if I got the right drill bit to just countersink that tube into there just a little bit, just to sink it in a little, and then I'll be able to weld around it a little easier. Alright, you can see we drilled that out just a little bit. Doesn't look too bad. I could really use one of those little small drill presses. That'd be awesome right now. So you can see that this fits in there nice and snug, and then that will be our adapter once I weld it together. So let's attempt to weld this now. We did it. Don't look too close. I'm not going to give you a nice close-up of that. So the first pass I did, it didn't really look all that fluid tight. So I did a second pass kind of further down, and it definitely looks solid now. I don't think that's going to leak, and it's definitely going to be strong enough. Didn't burn any holes through anything. This weld is probably not set up perfect for this. My wire is probably a little too thick for this thin stuff, because I got it set way down at 20 and 22 gauge. So my wire is probably a little big for this stuff, but it works. It should be okay. This is where I need to start practicing and learning how to TIG weld. I've never TIG welded, but that machine will do it. So I really need to start playing around with that and actually learn how to do that. That'd be a good little TIG welding project, I bet, right there. But yep, that should work. Now I just gotta do that 3 more times. got 2 fittings done. I got a cup of coffee. It's 1:30 in the morning. You drink coffee at 1:30 in the morning, right? I almost forgot. We gotta take the other line off so I can use my new tools. And let me get that off right now. Yeah, just like that, we got it off. So now we can cut the ends off of this and make our other 2. Gotta give a big shout out to my new tools. These things work awesome. If you're ever in a pinch and you need to get some better access to something, especially these lines that you don't want to strip out, buy yourself a set of these. These are great. Where that last clip left off, but it is now 2 days later. I had to take a little day break. For some reason that last night, I know I said I drank coffee at 1:30, but that doesn't keep me up, but I could not go to bed that night, or that morning. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't do it. I don't know what happened, so I ended up having to get up early and just crashed on the couch all day. Just no motivation to do anything, but we're refreshed now. Got some good sleep last night, so this is what we're left off with. We got these 4 fittings done. And one thing I didn't put on camera yet is I kind of applied a little extra stuff to it. Now these did not come out pretty, that's for damn sure. They are ugly, but they're functional and I'm pretty confident they're not gonna leak. So that's all that really matters right now. And I don't know, maybe it doesn't, I mean, they definitely look homemade and they look pretty haggard in there. But I'm not a professional welder. Wish I was, I'm getting better. They probably wouldn't have looked so bad if I didn't have to do the second pass around the base of them. The first pass was like, yeah, okay, you can deal with that. But then once you start doing more, it starts building up on that weld, and then, you know, if you're not a good welder, you can't make it look all pretty and, you know, uniform. So kind of end up with a little, whoops, chunky mess like this, but they'll work. So let me show you something else. After I was done welding them, just to make sure, and you know, I swear I didn't do this to cover my ugly welds. Maybe I did a little bit. I always like to use this Por 15 patch on some stuff. If you got something pretty haggard and porous and nasty, then this Por 15, it's like a real thick version of their paint, and you can kind of goop it on there real good. I used a little flat piece of plastic to just kind of fair it on like some aircraft sealant. It makes it look a hair better, and also it's gonna seal it up really good. Like if there were any pinholes from the welding not quite connecting to each other or something, then hopefully that'll seal it up, and pretty confident these aren't gonna leak. Now that we got those out of the way, I got a couple more things I want to do. This is just the no fun part of these builds, I feel like, but so we do have the fancy new starter we need to get up in there. And before I do that, obviously I got to take out the old starter, and I want to take off that old oil filter adapter. I want to take that off of the motor so I can replace the seals on it, just in case. You know, I might as well do it now since it's right there. All I got to do is take the filter off. I believe it just has 2 bolts going up into the block, and that piece will come down. And then I can just put the new O-rings, gaskets on it, whatever it's got in there, and then we can move forward. And we got everything cleaned up. Check that out. This is the adapter. That thing looks fresh. It looks looks brand new. A lot better than what I pulled off. So you know I can't pull something off without cleaning it. So this thing looks great. Cleaned it all up. Looking good inside and outside. These are the brass fittings that come on it stock. These go into that. These are the pipe thread. Now I gotta show you what I gotta do underneath, because it's gonna be kind of a pain, I think. And now we're underneath. See, the whole motor's pretty crusty, but it's nice to put clean parts back on at least. So that's where I pulled the adapter off. I gotta get up in there because, I don't know if you can tell, but around the rim, way deep in there where the bolts, you see the threaded bolt holes there? There's a gasket around way deep in there. I gotta scrape that gasket off, get all that material out of there, and then try and clean out that whole situation that's going on there. And yeah, that's not gonna be very fun, especially with these headers hanging down like this. So I'm not gonna bore you with that video. And you can see that we are clean now. Check that out, looks good. Got all that old gasket material off of there. So now I can put the new adapter with the new gasket, the new O-ring, new fittings on it. And then I just gotta make some lines. And here's our finished product. Looks good, looks solid. I ran into a small issue that I might have later on when I take this thing apart, is I didn't make these adapters very user-friendly. I can't put a crow's foot on the end that I'm gonna need to put a crow's foot on later if I ever have issues taking this thing back apart. So that's gonna be a real pain in the butt, because this won't slide over that, because this hex is actually bigger than that one. So I can't use my crow's feet anymore, which we'll see what happens with that. Worst case scenario, I'll figure something out. Just a quick look of it with the fittings on before I put hoses and stuff like that in there. I do want to mention too, these adapters I made, I am almost positive that I can find the pipe thread to the 8AN. I haven't actually pinpointed it yet, but I am almost positive you can just go out and buy those. So if anything were to happen in the future, I would really try to source those out instead of having to make these, because I mean, those took me a whole night just to make, 4 adapters, and they don't look that great, but from here they look cool, I think. Maybe they don't look very good on the video, but I think they look all right. Yeah, buddy, looking good up there. Look at that, she's clean. Everything looks proper, got a new oil filter on there. So I'm gonna take these hose fittings back off here, and then I guess I need to finish fitting up my steering box brace, which is the whole reason I started doing this, which goes somewhere over here, up to the 2 holes up here. So I gotta get that in here now, and then I'll figure out how I wanna reroute these lines so that they're not in the way anymore. So I'm in the process of kind of fitting up this steering box brace. It's not up there right now. I don't know where it's at, but I kind of cleaned up the steering box mounting area because I need to mount the steering box to kind of get everything to line up. And can we just appreciate some fresh square body frame paint? It looks so cool. You imagine this whole truck used to look like that? That's crazy. Now it just looks like this. But that looks so good. Here's a good look at the steering box brace that we're installing. Those are the mounting bolts for the box over here. And then obviously there's our fresh new PSC box up here. So the reason I kind of need to mount it, because I drilled the hole best I could figure out, but I realized it's not perfect. And well, you can see my hole didn't quite line up, so I'm just gonna keep oversizing it until we're lined up. It's not too far off, right? It's just a hair. We can work that. All right, well, I didn't plan on doing this, but steering box is officially mounted. I went through and I properly torqued it like you're supposed to, which is good because what I thought was tight was not tight enough. But we got our brace in there, both sides, got the big bolt through the middle of the cross member. There's another brace that goes on the back corner there, so it really ties in the whole box to this whole cross member. Looking good. Now that that's out of the way, I can start working on getting these lines together. So we're gonna be using AN fittings, and if you're not familiar with how those work, let me give you a little rundown. Well, like I said, I've never done this before, so we're gonna try this for our first time. Now, the first thing you gotta do is we gotta get rid of all this frayed edge. Ow, God, that's sharp. Ow, that is sharp. Jeez. The best way that people seem to do it online is you wrap tape, try electrical tape. I think that's what people were saying to use. Really get a good amount on there. Keep it nice and tight. And then to actually cut it, it said to use a cutoff wheel. That's just kind of the cleanest way to do it. So I put a nice fresh wheel on this so I got enough depth to get through this. So let's give it a shot. That cut nice and smooth, so let's see how it did. Find the end of the tape here. Feel the sharp edges. There we go. And obviously, careful that it doesn't unravel it as we go. Nice. So we got a pretty good sharp edge there. Now, if we're lucky, this piece here will just barely fit over. Yep. One thing I wanted to check is the ridges in here that actually go on the outside of the hose are threaded. So you actually twist this thing on until it bottoms out. Yeah, I'm just gonna look in there. Yep, she's all bottomed out. That hose is dirty, so I definitely need to clean out all those cuttings out of there too. You don't want all that in there. Let me blow it out with air. All right, now that we're all cleaned out, we gotta shove this guy in there. So I've heard people that kind of lubricate things just to kind of help things out. And somebody recommended WD-40, so we'll give that a shot. This hose is rated for oil and everything else, so the WD-40 shouldn't have an issue with it. Gonna work it in there and start threading it in as far as I know. She's going. They do make nice aluminum wrenches for this, so you don't gall up the fittings, but obviously I don't own those, so we'll just try to be as nice as we can. I'm also watching just to make sure it's not pushing the hose out of the fitting as it goes, which it doesn't appear to be moving, so I think we're doing all right. That's what I've seen. You run it all the way down till it bottoms out pretty much. I think we'll readjust this to put the fitting in the vise now. Try not to damage anything. It felt bottomed out to me. I guess one people recommended, just to make it look good, is to line up the flats, which is not a bad idea, which doesn't look like I really can. Yeah, right there. Perfect. We got a nice looking fitting. Let's look at it. And there's our finished product. Nice, beautiful fitting. Didn't damage it too much. Got the Summit logo on these ones, but the black with the stainless looks awesome. Alright, we got the hose all measured out underneath the vehicle. I pulled it back off so I can do the other end. And I'm kind of curious how long this ended up being. I was estimating about 48 inches, and we came out to 41 1/4. So I definitely have enough hose. That's a good thing. So let's cut it off and make this one. Two ends. We got a 90 on one end, straight on the other. Looking good. I forgot, this guy here is actually not a Summit Racing branded one, so this one actually went on a little easier. That was kind of nice. So you can see it still has a swivel, so it'll get up in there real nice. So let's go put it on the truck and see how it fits. Yep, I get it. 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 I understand why everybody uses AN fittings now on the good stuff. This is really, really nice. So you can see we're coming out of our adapter. We're running along. Everything is nice and loose where it needs to be. It's protected. It's up. It's all tucked up real nice. I got plenty of play that I can kind of readjust and mount things exactly where I want them. Nothing is tight. Nothing is loose. This is really nice. I am enjoying this. So now I just got to make a duplicate. All done. Check that out. That looks sick. Looking good. Everything's the same length and uniform. Love it. I ran into an issue though. I had to modify my wrench. A regular wrench wouldn't fit up in there between the two fittings. And between the two fittings and the oil pan. So, oh man, I was kind of starting to freak out there, and then the crow's feet don't fit because things aren't quite lined up correct for that. So I ended up taking my small adjustable that does open wide enough and grinding off the top, grinding off the bottom, just to give it enough clearance to be able to go bloop, bloop. But it worked. So as long as we don't have no leaks, then we'll be good. I'm not going to start this thing up for a long time, so we'll leave it at that. And I do need to finish putting like the clamps on and kind of finish, you know, retaining everything so it doesn't flop around and rub and make holes and stuff, but it looks really good. I like this. Alright guys, so that's about it for this video. It's getting late. I got to edit all this up still. That's a lot of work. I got 3 to 4 hours left of my night still to just to do that. So we got to get going. I got to do that. Next week, I don't know if I'll be able to put a video out. I'm going to be pretty busy with some other stuff, so not sure if I'll get one out yet or not. I'll try. Maybe we'll get something short out. We'll see. The next thing we got to do on this thing is I got to take care of that starter. I was hoping to get it done on this video, but we ran out of time. especially with putting up the steering box, which I didn't really plan on doing anyways. So we got all that taken care of, but next video will definitely be starter and the wiring, and I know that's not the most exciting stuff, nor was this video that exciting, but we got to get through this boring stuff before we put on the cool stuff, you know. So we're getting there, we're making good progress, so hopefully we'll have this thing going by springtime.